Hello everybody, Mark from Overlanding Forward. Hope you're doing well. This is part 2 of the L322 walk around series. Today we're going to talk about my rooftop tent, the roof rack that it's on, and the awning that's bolted to the side of the roof rack. It's an Alu-Cab LT-50. It's a fully aluminium top and bottom tent. It's a clamshell. It weighs 50 kilograms. The LT-50, lightweight 50, which is about 100 pounds. That is the reason why I bought this tent. It's also only 6 inches thick at its highest point where the molly panel is. Now, yes, I've got things on my roof, but it's only 6 inches thick, which means it's really low profile. And on this side, when you've got the awning closed, you can't even see it's there. So I chose it purely because of weight and size on the top of my car. I'm not interested in putting really heavy items on the top of my car. This is less than 100 pounds, and in fact I've taken the mattress out, which saves an extra 10 pounds, and that's why I've got this down to about 90 pounds in weight, which is nothing on the roof of a car. The other thing to look at is the awning is on brackets, and some people have asked me, well, why haven't you taken the awning and bolted it to the tent? Well, if you look closely, you can see there is a taper at the front, and so you cannot bolt the awning to it because it's tapered at the front. So the only way the awning could fit was to put it on brackets, which is why the tent is not centered on the roof rack, because of the way the awning brackets hold the awning up. So yes, you can put an Alu-Cab awning onto the bigger Gen 3R because it's built for that. This is not built to go on the side of the LT-50. So on the top of the tent, you can see there's a molly panel, and on there are things like, I've got a shovel, which are on those fist grip mounts, which are bolted to the molly panel. My max tracks, I've only got 2 of them, are on elevated mounts, not part of this. And the bracket you can see over here is where the ladder goes. Now, because it's so thin, the ladder doesn't fit inside the tent. So the alternative is, it comes with a bag. You can put the ladder in the vehicle, or you can get that bracket, which I got. So my ladder goes on top of the molly panel, and that's really all that's up there. So this is set up. This is basically my new way of camping. 10 minutes from pulling up to getting the tent up, to getting the awning out, to getting this down, which by the way is an Oz10 RV5 ground mat, and if you noticed I've cut it so I can get it into an L shape so it goes around the other side. And I can get my coffee on, my kitchen out, something to eat, 10 minutes flat. Putting it away, same thing. I got a reverse process of how I get everything put away. Total weight on the top of that roof, probably about 110 pounds, maybe. So the roof rack, it's a Land Rover Passion. It's been on 3 years. It's rock solid. It's bolted to the factory mounting points. There's 6 of them. There is some oxidation coming up now, but that's from all the weather, so that's just where the end of the aluminium is. These take an M6 bolt. This thing's been brilliant. Max, I love it. And if anybody's got an L322 and they ask me for roof rack options, I send them to this one. You can get front runners, but there's problems with vibration. I know quite a few people have had problems with the front runner racks vibrating, or you get this oscillating. I don't know, don't have one. I've not had a single problem with this since I've had it, and it's been on 3.5 years. It's one of the very, very first mods that I did. But that's a 2-meter rack, and you can see we're just about overlapping here a couple of centimeters, and at the front here. And you can see why I put the lights up here as well. They nestle right underneath the tent. And as I've mentioned before about the lights, we'll just go sideways on this. And I mentioned with the lights, they're there for cosmetic reasons, purely to fill in the gap between the tent here. And it does cut down on buffeting, surprisingly, because the wind's going to hit that and go around the lights as opposed to rattling against that. that's the setup. I did have two pairs of mattress tracks. One was a Mark 1, one was a Mark 2. The Mark 1s don't stack on top of the Mark 2s to fit in the pins. So I got rid of a set of the Mark 1s. I might get another set of Mark 2s. I've used those half a dozen times, more to build bridging for this thing to go over. So if you come to a washout and it's steep, I put these down to try and get myself over the top of it. That's really the only reason why I have them. Not needed them in sand, because these things will air down. And as we say in the UK, belts and braces. So I have that now, and I've got those, and I've got a shovel. And I've got recovery points, and I've got a rope. I'm all set. So on the awning, what I've done is I've bought these strip lights. They are double side taped, but I've got some zip ties on them. And these are both amber and white. So I've managed to be able to get these from Drifter. They come in different sizes. I think this is a 900mm one. So I have one there. I have one here, which is a smaller one, and then one out the back. So when the tailgate goes down, as you can see there, I have that turned on. And the reason why there's a cloth underneath is to basically stop the tailgate rubbing against it. All of this is hooked up with a three-way connector, which runs through a hole that I made in the cover and then runs down through there, and then I control it down here with the switch. So that gives me light underneath the awning. One thing that I do have a problem with is you can probably see the bracket here for the rainfly. It's going to be difficult to show you, but I'll see if I can get up here and do it. So the way the rainfly connects is through two brackets, and because the way the arm swings out, I had to move the bracket on the other side to here. So this now sits on the bracket for the awning, and what I have to do is put the other arm in, put the awning up, and as you can see, it comes through here. Now I've not been in really bad weather here, so I don't know whether that's going to leak, but that's the only way I can get around it, because there is not enough room, as you can see, where it would go, which would be here. I had to move the bracket over here. So I have to get into the tent and get that in there. This one has one leg, which is here. I've only had that down once, and that was really as a precaution. This is really strong. You can see all of the bracketry in here. This is aluminium, hence Alu-Cab. So it's very, very strong. You can pull the vehicle quite comfortably with this. It's rock solid. The cover is big enough to be able to put it all back in. You don't futz around with it. So some covers on some awnings, they're really good the first day you get them, and then you try and put them away wet or it doesn't fold up properly. You've got to struggle. Not had any problems with that. So I'm really happy with the awning and the cover. Each end there are straps to tie it down. Like I said, I've never used them. But I'm also conscious that if it's really, really windy, no matter whether it's a good awning, bad awning, this acts as a sail. Most cases you probably take it down. You're probably asking for trouble if you leave it up in really high winds, regardless of whether you've got a leg that you could peg down, or I would take it down. Anyway, that's the awning. It is bolted to the roof rack. You can just about see there are two angled brackets in here. So this is drilled through the aluminium roof rack. These are M8s purely because of the weight, and you can see that that's why the tent is off kilter. Right down the far end, you might just be able to see it. We're right up against the brackets. Now I could angle grind them down and move the tent over. I just can't be bothered. It's perfectly fine for my needs. On the bottom here, you can see my max tracks are slightly elevated. The reason why I've done that is that the wind can go underneath them. These things rattle around in the wind if you have them flat. So the wind gets between them and they start whistling. By having it like this, there's less chance of them whistling in the wind. They do whistle. Just be aware of it if you put them on there. One thing with the molly panel is I will be taking this off. I will probably be painting it. I've chipped it in a few places. But in the middle there is, you can probably just see them, there are these bracing bars. There's two of them, one in this end, one at the other end. There isn't one in the middle. And what I've noticed is you get this rattling on the molly panel when you drive. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and then I'm going to put a rubber bung and screw it through one of the holes in the molly panel just to stop it sort of moving and give it a little bit more rigidity in the middle. Those of you that have been following the channel for a while know that I like putting stickers on surfaces, especially on rooftop tents. So that Union Jack, the ripped Union Jack on metal, I had a black one on top of my iCamper Skycamp Mini. I'll put a picture in here so you can see it. So I had a number of them. They did eventually come off, but that was more to do with the Raptor lining on the top of the iCamper cover, or the case. So this one, it actually goes straight on metal, and so far it's stayed in place. So I actually do like breaking it up. And then on the very, very end, you might be able to see it. I've got the One Life Live It sticker, some other ones that my wife seems to think are Hamas stickers, but they're not. They are to do with the Dakar Rally. And then you've got the terrain response ones at the far end. Anyway, that's just me. I like putting stickers on things like that. So the ladder. This is a 2.6 meter ladder. You can get them in 2 meters. This one needs 2.6 purely because of the height of the vehicle. Because it's a narrow tent, if I was to have this ladder up against the bracket here, I would be up against the door and the door handle down there. So you can buy this bump out. I can't remember how much it was. It's like 50 quid, and what it does, it moves the ladder away from the car. And as you can see, we're right up against the edge of the roof rack, so there is no overhang on this side. It's a very, very slim rooftop tent. And so this goes on first, and then I just clip the ladder into here. This will come off. So I've now developed an entire process that when I rock up at a camp, I've got one of those foot plates that I use to go into the door latch, put that in, step on that, and I pull down the ladder, put up that step plate, ladder goes on, go around the back, flip up the tent, put in one of the poles. As I said before, rain flies optional extra as well. In this sort of weather where it's hot, I think it really works to be able to keep some of the heat off the tent. So that's why I have it up most of the time. And at night what I'll do is I'll just leave that open, and you get quite a lot of wind and ventilation coming in and out of the tent. So as you can see, there's not a lot of room up here. As I mentioned, 2 people comfortably, no. Snugly, yes. So I have my Exped mattress at a slight angle to the corner. And again, that's because of my height and looking at the way that the tent go down there. The tent itself comes with this really thin layer, I think it's polyethylene, but I've added this, so you can get this in different sheets, and this is more of a vapor barrier as well. So this mesh does provide a little bit of comfort. That stops any condensation coming up from the bottom, because again, this is an all aluminium frame. And then with the polyethylene on the top, I've got 2 layers down there that stops any cold air coming up through the bottom of the tent. But I don't really need to worry about it because I'm on the mattress, so I'm not sleeping on here. And all that was underneath it with the original mattress was this. And again, bare bones tent. Is it enough? Not sure. But the mattress was quite thick. Now, if you had 2 people in here and you get the body heat that 2 people generate, it'll be interesting to see how much condensation appears on it. On the roof, there's more condensation, anti-condensation mapping. It's got a bit of a give in it. And as I said, it's pretty bare bones in here. I bought one of these, which is a pocket. And there's only one time you ever leave your keys in a rooftop tent, You never do it again. We've all done it. You will do it too. And so I leave my keys in here, and then I've got things like a head torch in this pocket. You can buy these as options. I bought one, and they go into that Velcro or down there, and there's one down here as well. I always keep my pump up here. So there's an X-Ped pump. It's got a light in it. So one of the, you get into a flow of when you rock up at your camp, everything comes up, and then I just basically plug this in, and within what, maybe less than a minute, my mattress is pumped up. Tent is bare bones. There is no way of putting power up here, well, unless you run it through sort of the side vents. There is no HVAC port. That's just a badge on here. Now you could probably cut it to put HVAC. I'm not a cold weather camper. I'm sorry, I'm simply not going to do it. I'm a wuss. So to get around the light, I bought one of these, which is an Anchor Solex. I don't know the model name. I got it at Christmas. It's 100 quid. It's got a built-in light. The great thing about this is it's nice and light. Doesn't take long to charge back up. You can turn on the light. You might be able to see that. And I've got light into my tent. It's got all the USBs you could possibly want. It's got a 12 volt in here as well. So I don't need to worry about running cables up through the back of the car into the tent. So I've got this, and this comes up with me every night. And then I just plug in things like my watch, and then plug in my phone, and it charges it up overnight. So that's how I get around the lack of power, light in the tent. Again, compromise. I don't need all those fancy things that you could get on a tent. You probably don't either. And that's why I came up with this solution. Oh, while we're here, get yourself one of these. These are phenomenal. It's a Starlink. And yeah, I know some people don't like the guy that invented them or runs the company, but you know what? You need to get over it. These are phenomenal when you go off-road. They also will reduce your 5G easily. So get one of these. This is a Gen 3. You can get a Mini, which is a lot smaller than that. But I love mine. So the whole point with the LT-50 is it's modular. It really wasn't built for vehicles like this. If you think about it, the Gen 3R, which is the big one, was the one that was really meant for long-term touring. This is not really meant for that. So the general idea is that these tents will fit on smaller vehicles because they're so lightweight, 100 pounds, or in my case, 90 because the mattress is gone. And the general idea is you buy the parts that you need. So things like the molly panel, extra. The mount to put the ladder, extra. You choose the ladder that you need. So I need a 2.6 meter ladder because of the height of the vehicle, but you can also get them in 2 meter as well. The optional rain fly out the back. All of those things you buy. It's a bare bones tent. This one is really a one-person tent. You can get 2 people in it at a squeeze. You really have to be quite comfortable with the person you're in, but you can get 2 people in it. So it's 210 centimeters in length. I'm 6'3", a smidge under. I'm a side sleeper. I will tell you this, that if I was a back sleeper, I would not fit in the tent, purely because of the way that it angles up and the way your feet would hit it. Now I've tried sleeping the other way, it just doesn't feel right. So I sleep at the other end with my feet facing this way. So does it take some getting used to? Yes. It's probably more of a single size bed in length and size than it would be anything bigger. By having the X-Ped mattress in there, because I've taken the other one out purely because it's not comfortable enough for me because I'm a side sleeper, I really curl up in a ball. I've had no problems getting a good night's sleep in it. Now I have to regulate my mattress to make myself feel comfortable that it's got enough comfort in it. But again, that's personal preference on the types of mattresses that people have. So with the mattress that it came with, it's probably comfortable for a lot of people. If you're a side sleeper, I felt my shoulders digging into the floor. It just wasn't comfortable enough. And I'm not a big guy. I'm about 180 pounds wet. So it's not as if I'm heavy pushing down on the mattress. So I've got my X-Ped in there, which gives it plenty of comfort. But like I said, if you're under 6 foot, it'd be perfect for you. Pushing it, and you're a back sleeper, you could run into problems with your feet touching against the back. So just be aware of that. But apart from that, I got no complaints at all. As far as sleeping up there, the doors and the windows will actually zip down, so you can roll them down and leave the mesh in place. You get plenty of ventilation. I've been in this thing now 14 nights. I've not had a single problem with ventilation or condensation building up. So I do have a breathable mesh underneath the factory polyethylene layer that comes with it to keep condensation down, because there's an aluminium base to it. No problems at all, no moisture coming up, none of that. Here's a top tip for you. Go get one of these, they're probably desiccates, but you can go get these types of bags. And the reason why it's out here now is it's drying out in the sun. So I always leave one of these in the tent, especially if it's being closed up for a period of time. So about a week or so ago, I got absolutely soaked, and the inside of the tent did get wet in a rainstorm. And then when we were parked up in near Faro, when we were on holiday, I basically put one of these in, took it out, and then left it in the sun to dry out. So I'd highly recommend you put one of these in. This will take a lot of the moisture out of a tent, especially if you packed any rooftop tent up wet or damp. So highly recommend you get some of these bags. I have two. One stays in the front of the vehicle in the wintertime for condensation that builds up. And then I'll leave one of these in the rooftop tent. They're perfect. And the reason why it's up here at the moment is I'm leaving it in the sun to dry out, so I can put it back in again. So in the tent overnight, I've got my X-Ped mattress, which I deflate. I've got my sleeping bag. I've got a full-size pillow, and I've got a quilt. Those stay up there. There's probably enough space in there to close it with having two sleeping bags, maybe two mattresses or a larger mattress up there. But I leave everything in the tent overnight. It can quite easily close. I don't need to lean on it or any of that good stuff. But there is not a lot of room up there. And again, you cannot store your ladder up there. So that's one of the considerations of these tents. You need somewhere else to put the ladder. But the option there is molly panel, bracket. You don't need the bracket. You could probably figure out a way of strapping it down if you wanted to go that route. I chose to get the one that was custom for that. I was going to put it inside the vehicle. There's not enough room. It goes up there. It's good to go. Now, the one thing that is a downside to not having 2.6 is that the coverage here is slightly less. But I don't care about that. I know, and I've seen people run into branches, bushes. I don't like awnings that jut out too far, and I can't put it back any further because of the way that the arm would not be able to swing out. So I'll give you one more walk around, and then we'll wrap this video up. While I'm walking around, some people will say, what's it like in the wind? It's not too bad. The only thing that really flaps, as you can see, is the rain fly. But the canvas is double skinned. You don't get any flapping on the canvas unless it's really, really windy. And I've only spent one night when it's been really windy up there. And yeah, you get woken up, but generally you'll fall back to sleep. So that brings us to the end of part 2, which is the roof rack, Alu-Cab LT-50. It also covers the awning, which is the 270 Alu-Cab Shadow Awning. It's in a 2-meter length. And the roof rack that it's all bolted to, which is a Land Rover Passion low profile L322 roof rack. Okay, so that is part 2. If you have any questions about that tent, where I got it from, what it costs, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to answer. Part 3 will be coming up in a few weeks, where we'll go through my 12-volt system. Trust me, this one's going to get technical. And with that, see you on the next one.